Good evening everybody, it's AJ back again for part 8 of my Punisher a comic collection walkthrough. Now if you recall where we left off in the last episode, part 7, was we were coming into the Punisher War Machine territory of comics. Yeah, this era of comics is very confusing as a collector, and especially if you want to go into the comics as a collector who's picking up historic items, just because of the nature of how Marvel produce their comics now, with that I have had a moan about, with the issue 1 to about issue 20 cancel, issue 1 to issue 20 cancel. It makes it very patchy, so to speak, and confusing even for myself as to what came first, what came second. Even for these videos I've had to have a look, go back and have a look at the order of stuff, because yeah, it's confusing, isn't it? You can see so many issue 1s and restarts and that, and even stories that don't feel like they've been followed up on because of creators changing in the new issue 1 and all that. And yeah, so thumbs down to Marvel for that. But anyway, before we get to the War Machine stuff, the Legacy, what they call Legacy, we're going to look at a few mini-series that came out. Yes, so just bear with me, because I've got a few items in front of me. Okay, first off, I'm going to start with a mini-series that they done of Punisher versus Daredevil. Deadpool. They're both red suits, don't complain. And they begin with these. There you go. So that's issue 1 of Punisher versus Deadpool. It's a 5 or 6 issue miniseries. I can't remember. We'll find out in a minute when we reach the end of it. Everyone's favourite Merc with a mouth. That was a variant of issue 1 I just showed you. This is issue 2. Issue 3. Issue 4. And issue 5. Yep. A variant of issue 5. Nice cover. That was the final issue. Yep, issue 5 is the final issue of that 5-part story. It's not the last time I'll talk about Deadpool in this video. I'm pretty sure this was around the time when the film came out, to cash in on, yes, Deadpool. That's what Marvel do now. And next up, another character that had his own film. Punisher's teaming up with him. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange Magic Bullets. It's issue 1. Again, issue 1. Obviously a bit of an odd team up. Issue 2. And a variant for issue 2. Issue 3. And issue 4. The final issue. Yes, so Doctor Strange, obviously he had his film as well, so we'll cash in on that. Another character, although TV, Punisher Daredevil. Obviously Punisher and Daredevil have a long history, him and Matt Murdock, hence why Punisher was introduced in the Netflix series of season 2 of Daredevil. So that there we have a issue 1. Issue 2. Issue 3. And issue 4. Unfortunately, I can't tell you about the story of that because I totally do not remember it. I have a few one-offs here. What if Peter Parker had become the Punisher? Now, What If is a line of comics which sort of take a scenario and spin it off into its own thing. Like, what if Daredevil hadn't been killed? What if Aunt May hadn't, or what if Ben Parker hadn't been killed, all this sort of stuff they've done. It's a great series. You've got an animated series based on the What If scenario coming to Disney Plus with all the voice cast from the films. Should be pretty good. I do have the classic What If Punishers. What if the Punisher's family hadn't been killed? What if the Punisher had become a agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.? What if Venom had become the Punisher, or the Punisher had become Venom? Yeah, all these sorts of what if Punisher killed Daredevil, all these sort of titles. But this is a newer what if Peter Parker had become the Punisher. And then we have True Believers, issue 1 of a reprinting of Amazing Spider-Man 129 with the classic cover on it. I've seen that a couple of times. Then True Believers, Marvel Knights the Punisher, which reproduces the issue 1, the Mike Zeck, the miniseries, issue 1 of the Punisher. Then I have a lenticular covered Deadpool, Despicable Deadpool, but it's also the Amazing Spider-Man 129 cover. Marvel done this, and we'll see it again when we get to the War Machine stuff. I don't know if you can see that very well, changing from Deadpool to Punisher killing Spider-Man, Deadpool shooting someone, I don't know who that is, but there you go. Yes, those are those. And I do actually have 3 more issues of Punisher 2099. A few years ago, Marvel done some one-offs of 2099 characters again, this time being the Punisher. That's more how he looks in this comic. Not a great design. Like I said, it's only a one-off issue, but there are 2 variant covers which have Jake Gallows in his original costume design from 2099 that we looked at, and that are those. Yes, so coming back to Garth Ennis, shall we? Garth Ennis did do a couple more titles under the Max banner, Max Comics. First being Punisher the Platoon issue 1. As you can see, it's now called Max Comics there. This is obviously following Frank Castle before he became the Punisher. That's issue 1. Issue 2 there. Issue 3. Issue 4. Issue 5. And issue 6, his time in Vietnam. Now I'm aware that Garth Ennis did do another miniseries called Punisher Born under the Max banner. Unfortunately, it's not in these boxes here. It's in some of the ones that I've got stored away somewhere. Yes, so that was Punisher Platoon. Coming to a bit newer stuff and a bit odd to tie in with a mass crossover that the comic's done, the War of Realms. So this is more about frost giants, Thor's, you know, and all that sort of stuff. Frost giants attacking Earth, I believe. Yeah, War of the Realms. So that's issue 1 of that. This is a mini series. Issue 1 variant, second printing. Issue 2. Issue 3. That was that, 3-issue mini-series. But then that led into another mini-series, Punisher Kill Crew, which again followed on, like I said, from the events of that. So it's still very mystical, Asgard stuff. Punisher decides to go on a journey avenging people who had people, I think children, come to him asking for vengeance for the death of their parents during the War of the Realms. Anyway, that's issue 1. Issue 2, say the goat from Thor. Issue 3. Issue 4. And issue 5 Obviously, it does take the Punisher out of his comfort zone. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know this. It wasn't bad read, but you know, it's not that sort of street level grit you want. It's with characters that Punisher wouldn't normally associate with and all that. But yeah, you know. So anyway, now I'll bring you on to the Marvel Legacy title. Now, as discussed, this is the Punisher War Machine issue 1. James Rhodes, aka the War Machine. He was, I believe he was killed in the comics. I may be wrong there. And at the time he was going out with Carol Danvers. He had a relationship with her. Correct me if I'm wrong. And after he died, Frank Castle managed to get a hold of the War Machine armour to use it for his deeds. So that's issue 1. Or issue 218. Punisher Legacy, they started to renumber stuff from their legacy numbers. So they came up with issue 218. I've not worked it out myself. I don't know what series, you know, obviously 104 issues of the original Punisher run. I don't know if they included the Max run to get to this number. Probably not. No, wouldn't have done. But yeah, so anyway, issue 218. A lenticular 218. It sort of goes from War Machine to the Punisher. You can't really see it very well, I'm afraid. War Machine to Punisher somehow. War Machine armour, and then armour where Punisher, sorry about the light, where you see the skull painted on the front of the War Machine armour. Yeah, so this is a issue 1 variant cover, because the Punisher was just about to start on Netflix. John Bernthal photo cover. Nice cover. Another issue 218 variant. I think they've done this sort of cover for a lot of characters, or it's just their face. Not a very good picture, but it's a variant nonetheless. And issue 218 variant. There's only one issue of this for every 25 issues of the standard one printed. Yeah, it's a 1 in 25. And then I have a second printing of issue 1. Obviously not lenticular. It's him in the War Machine armour. Like that. I believe this actually goes for quite a bit of money on eBay, over 100 quid now. Even though it's relatively new. Must have quite a low print run. And in high demand. So that's issue 218, or issue 2. I'll stick with the 200 numbers because it's easier. So then you've got issue 219. Nice sort of painted cover. And a Phoenix variant. X-Men, Jean Grey Phoenix variant of 219. And another 219 variant. I don't know what the ratio is for that, 1 in 10. Oh no, sorry, this is the second printing. So there. That's the second printing. Then we have 220. 221. I can't say I necessarily like this storyline, but you can see what they were going with considering the films. Yeah. 223. 224. 225. Obviously Sam Wilson, the Falcon, Carol Danvers, Spider-Man. Yes. 226. 227. Black Widow. I believe she brings the armour back to him. He loses it. She brings it back. And 228. Now, to make things even worse, we go back to an issue 1 again. but as you can see, you've still got the legacy number to the bottom, so that'd be 229, but issue 1, so I'm going to go back to issue 1. You can see how this is all very confusing with the numbering, and it must make it really difficult for anyone who's trying to track these series down and trying to get them all. Yes, I don't know. So that's a variant for issue 1. Another variant for issue 1. Fantastic Four variant. Or the return of the Fantastic Four. What happened was a bit of back story on that. When Fox had the rights to these characters, X-Men and Fantastic Four, Marvel stopped producing the Fantastic Four comic and a lot of the X-Men comics in order to sort of give a middle finger to Fox, so to speak, and try and, you know, not advertise their Marvel films as it is. But yes, so anyway, so I have another variant for issue 1. Second printing variant. And an issue 2. And an issue 3. Daredevil appearance. Issue 4. Issue 5 with a Stan Lee banner at the top, because Stan Lee sadly had just passed away at this point. Hydra. Now I believe Punisher was going after Hydra at this point, because there was a storyline where he ended up in Secret Empire, where he ended up working with Hydra for some... I ignored the Secret Empire stuff. I didn't read it, so I don't really know what was going on, but this is him going after... Yeah. No, issue 5, another Fantastic Four variant. And issue 6, still with the Stan Lee banner at the top, the black banner. Issue 7. Issue 8. Can't tell you nothing about the stories, unfortunately. Issue 9. Issue 10. Even though this is newer stuff, it's... I don't want to say it's no good, but I can't remember it. I cannot remember it. Issue 11. My guess is that that's a variant for issue 11. Let me check for you. Open it up and take a quick look. The number would be on the back. Battle Lines variant for issue 11. And it gives me a good... That's quite a nice cover, must admit. It's got some... The art looks quite dark and gritty. Not bad art by any means. It's got Zemo in it. Can't find you an image of the Punisher in there though. He is in there, but it's a very busy issue. So that was a variant for issue 11. Issue 12. 13. 14. Issue 15. Ghost Rider. Black Widow. Moon Knight. I can't remember this character's name, unfortunately. A Immortal variant for issue 15. And the Amazing Mary Jane variant for issue 16. And that's the proper cover for issue 16, which I believe is the last issue. Yeah, they didn't... Quite a nice cover. there's an air of finality to that. Punisher sort of faces off with Kingpin and that. Natasha Romanoff is in it. And Luke Cage is there. Nick Fury. Yes, so what came next after that was Punisher Soviet, which is a another Garth Ennis written series that we should get to momentarily. Now I do have a Punisher annual that sits alongside this series. Looks like Space Punisher, doesn't it? Yeah, Acts of Evil. Plus a hard-hitting Punisher epilogue by Pacheco and Punisher artist Szymon Kudranski. I don't know who that is. This is all weird stuff. It's got he's up in space with SHIELD agents, comes back down to Earth. Yeah, there's nothing in there. That's actually before Kill Crew, so it is in that in line with that sort of stuff. But like I said, this very confusing time for the character. Marvel at their worst, maybe. Yes. Anyway, so like I said, actually before that, I won't go through these. I'll have a quick talk. But Punisher did join the Thunderbolts in a series of comics. I don't have them boarded. I have them sort of packed together like that. I remember him getting it on with Elektra in there. So Hulk, Deadpool, Venom, Agent Venom that is, Red Hulk. Yes. And this was before, this was prior, this was a few years ago, because obviously they're advertising Captain America Winter Soldier on the cover, but it's in the same box. I thought I'd share it with you. That ran for 32 issues. Nice run. Yeah, like I said, Punisher would be... I said I'd speak about Daredevil again because I knew that I would be picking these up and having a quick look. Yeah, so landed with 32 issues. That was quite a decent run, as I recall. Worth a read if you like team-up books. I'm not overly big on team-up books, but that was a lot of fun. Had a lot of, like I said, different stuff in it. Yeah, take a look. So anyway, that brings me to what we just discussed, Soviet, Punisher Soviet. So anyway, we have issue 1, like so. Steve Dillon didn't do the art. It was done by Jason Burrows. What the art looks like within. Yeah. It is under the Max banner, so it's going to be more adult themed. Yeah, Max Comics. And this came out a couple of years ago, I do recall. So like I said, that was issue 1. I do have a second copy of issue 1, same cover, and a variant for issue 1, like so. Issue 2, issue 3, issue 4, issue 5, And final issue, issue 6. Now, if I recall at the time of them advertising this, there was going to be another miniseries done by Garth Ennis. The title of it totally eludes me. It even says at the end, keep your eyes peeled for more Punisher Max written by Garth, which we're working on right now. Unfortunately, nothing has come to pass. We haven't seen anything yet. I think it all went quiet over the COVID period, when COVID first hit. But this here would be the last issue, the last Punisher issue released to date. So yes, so have a bit of a recap, shall we? All right, so when Punisher first got his initial series in mid-80s, it was very well received. You had that 5-issue miniseries and then the 104 issue run, which run concurrently with War Journal and Warzone, culminating in the Countdown storyline. They were that whole decade of Punisher there was a highlight. Good memories from collecting them. Good memories from some of the stories. Yeah, the Suicide Squad. I'm saying that again. Suicide Run, Countdown, Lynn Michaels, the Wolverine meetings. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff to like back then. And obviously the Punisher came back for his 18-issue miniseries after that, and you had the 2099 and all that sort of stuff. So you had a peak and you had a trough with that sort of stuff into the Demon stuff, which was abysmal. Then Punisher peaked again with the introduction of Garth Ennis as the writer and Steve Dillon as the artist, with all the Marvel Knights run initially, then led into Marvel Max. That era of the Punisher is again a highlight of his tenure as a character. So much so that the first Marvel Knights run of Garth Ennis is entitled "Welcome Back, Frank." Is one of his key signature stories that the film 2004 Thomas Jane film was inspired and partly based upon. After that, we started this sort of era now with the Punisher, where because of Marvel's sales tactics, it's very choppy, it's very divided, confusing numbering, as in, you know, stop start miniseries, start stop miniseries, start. It's like I said in this video, as a collector, if you're looking back historically for that run, yeah, it's gonna be tough time there. You'd have to refer to like Wikipedia or whatever, or even this video to get to know where you're at and what. Do you know what I mean? Because it'd be so easy to pick up an issue 1 from that series, then thinking that is the issue 2, but it's not an issue 2 from another series, and all that. So, yeah, a lot of strange times for the Punisher as well, with his involvement in things like War of Realms and all this. There are some highlights. The Thunderbolts is one of them. That was good. The Greg Rucka run was good, culminating in Warzone and Trial and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, but yeah, it's just very, very disjointed. So I'd say that you've got another trough there. It's higher than that Demon Saga trough and all that, but so you got it. first decade there, second decade there, third decade, fourth decade down a bit. I believe it's time that the character should have another revival. I'm sure that there's something in the works. I don't believe he's being utilised that much within the comics at the moment. But like I said, with Marvel's tactic of, you know, they like their issue ones. Because when you get an issue 1, you get a sales bump. And then you get a decline. So they're not thinking about they're not thinking about the readers or the fans. They're thinking about their bottom line, which I totally understand. Comic industry is in decline. But these comics now aren't being made for long time collectors. They're being made for the short span. I know that the films drive sales now, hence why you see, if a film comes out, you will see titles revolving around that particular character. Case in point, Guardians of the Galaxy, when that came out, a little known comic book, sort of B-list comic book, mega hit film. Afterwards, you had Star-Lord solo series, you had Groot and Rocket series. You know, all the characters were getting, you know, there was just masses of them. I don't agree with that, because we're in a time, as you noticed in one of the last videos I looked at, you could see all the inspiration coming from the comics, like Civil War stuff, the Winter Soldier, which weren't touched upon really in the Punisher, but yeah, the Planet Hulk affecting Thor Ragnarok. You had the comics, and the comics inspired the films. The films in turn went on to create mass amounts of money. So from a business perspective, it makes logical sense to now base your comic books upon the films, because you're hoping that your film audience comes into the comics, which does happen. I have discussions like this in the comic shop that I visit, and they see a lot of new people come in, but these new people they got no longevity to them. They come in for a short while, so they pick up, then they go off of it. But comics are now being made for that sort of audience, so us as fans are being kind of screwed. So as much as I love the MCU, I really do, it's brilliant. I love the films, you know, they're fantastic, but there is a negative side to them being out there, and that negative side is the impact on the comics. You can't, you know, I don't know, what would I take, the comics or the films at the moment? Probably the films over the comics. I do know that my interest in comics sort of waned because of the films, partly because, and TV, partly because you're getting your fix of superheroes in that medium now, and also the negative impact in turn on the comics with the stories and the writing and the fact it's sort of like based around or spun out of the films. So yes, so anyway, I'm going to sort of wrap it up there because I've got nothing more to say on the comics. I do have other stuff that I may venture into at some point to go out and find. That being a lot of the crossover stuff, as in where he appeared in other other comics. Apologies, excuse me. And also a lot of the one-shots that came out in that first sort of decade when the Punisher was big. They're all boxed away, and believe me, it's not in comic long boxes. These are in sealed boxes, because since then I've sort of moved 3 times. So, and I've got loads and loads of boxes that I'd have to go through, so you can imagine what that would be like. But yeah, hopefully I'll get into digging them out. I'll get inspired to dig them out with your help. So let me see if you want to see them, if you want to see more. Like I said, I will do some companion videos to this, based on like the collectibles you can get. I will do a bit on the films and the TV series, because my thoughts might surprise you. yeah, so anyway, please consider subscribing and give me a thumbs up, leave me a message. Like I said in the last video, I will, if I reach 1,000 subscribers, I will start to look at doing some giveaways on some of my doubles of Punisher comics, if there's anything that is of interest. Yeah, so thank you for watching, thank you for sticking with me through this series. I know it's been long and probably arduous, but it's been interesting for me to look back. You know, brings back some memories of my younger days and good times of visiting comic shops and rooting through the boxes, finding the older issues, rather than jumping onto eBay and searching for them, which is so easy now that you've lost that. The joy of going through a comic shop and rooting through their old stock. But yeah, so I'm going to say good night to you, and I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully I will speak to you soon and see you soon. Take care of yourselves, whatever you're up to. Good night.